It's like 2 a.m. where I am. But I thought, hey, let's see who's around. here. How you doing? It's like 2 a.m. right where I am, and so I thought, since I'm up, I'm playing, I have no intention of going to bed right away. Let's just see who's up in this part of the world. And usually when I do my live streams, I know that a lot of people in Europe are usually asleep or it's really late. But since right now it's the opposite, I thought, hey, maybe I might be able to catch some people who are in Europe. And so I thought I'd just jump on here and see who's around. And it's not going to be like my usual live streams, where sometimes I go for 2 hours. But if you got some questions, drop it down in the chat. You know, I'm here to hang for a bit. And yeah, 2 a.m. is kind of crazy, right? But sometimes as artists, when we feel inspired, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, or night, or early morning. So it's all good. But if you got some questions about bass playing, just throw it down in the chat. You know, we have a little mini bass hang here. And so that's cool. Singapore, 10 p.m. there where you are. Savak is saying it's 6:12. So that's cool. Jared is 10 a.m. where you are. So that's cool. is just made up on the spot. There's just two chords, just E minor 11, F sharp minor 11, right? And essentially, obviously you can hear there's three bass parts going on. Obviously, there's a bass line, and I've got two chordal parts, right? I've got one playing chords up high, right? So either these voicings right here, and then I've got I've got three chordal parts. So the first one is, so up high I'm playing a G major 7 chord, A major 7 chord, and then the middle part I'm playing is stacked fourths. So E, A, D, right, to F sharp, B, E, right, I'm playing that. That's what I got going on there. And the other part I have is I'm playing a B minor 7 and then a C sharp minor 7 chord. And so when you put those three parts together, you get a nice kind of cacophony of just sonic bliss. And that's a really cool thing, is that it's almost in a way of like having like a keyboard or like a piano, right, in the different registers. And that's why it works so well, is because they're in different, different parts, right? And so how am I coming up with those chords? Well, since we're in, I'm playing E minor 11 to F sharp minor 11, so that means E minor 11 I can take G major 7, right? And F sharp minor 7 I can take A major 7 in there, right? So I'll put that up top, right? And since they're minor 11 chords, I can stack the fourths, right, for the middle, right? And then the other thing too is, for the lower one, taking a B minor 7, which works in E minor, right? And a C sharp minor 7, right? So it's all within the chord. It utilizes the upper structures of the chord. So that's what's really cool about this. This is why I love playing chords on the bass, because you have that kind of freedom to like definitely build the parts in that, So yeah, totally spontaneous. I haven't released any solo material, but I will tell you that is in the works. Obviously, I have a very extensive discography, which you can actually check out on the title. I think there's a link down below in the description box to check out the stuff that I played on. And I'm glad you like the outfit. This is my just real comfort late at night kind of outfit. So in terms of this is the thing, in terms of like the chord changes, I mean, yeah, if you just base it off of, again, like I said, E minor 11 and F sharp minor 11, but know what are the chords that are in the diatonic sequence of each one, right? So obviously for E minor, we're going to have E minor 7, right? But we can also play G major 7, right? We can do that. Which is, and that G major 7 is obviously derived from the minor third of E minor, right? also play B minor 7, right? Right? We can also play let's see, a D major 7 as well over this E minor, which is really cool. So, and then you can utilize that obviously in any key, whether you're playing a minor chord, and it works really well. That's something that's really fun to do that. And obviously, you know, that's just what happened, you know, just in this moment of playing these two chords, right? So, what do I use for effects that I'm using? Hearing some reverb, octave, envelope, absolutely. So, a little bit of reverb. And that's the new neighbor reverberator, the immersed reverberator, which is incredible. It's a new addition to my effects chain, and it's such a beautiful pedal. I did like a video rundown of it here on my YouTube channel, so you can check it out. But it has so many different modes on it. Really great sound. I love it. I really love it. And then the octave pedal that you heard earlier was it's the EBS octave pedal, which I absolutely love. Really cool pedal. Obviously, there's an envelope in there. Also an EBS. So there's a few effects going on there, you know. And how am I soloing over this? I mean, yeah, you could look at it as like 3 keys on each chord, because a lot of the 2-5-1s that are going on. So G major 7, B major 7, right? And then E flat major 7. How I approach this is I just look at I definitely look at it in that sense, but definitely the major 7 chords for each one that it lands on, I look at how I can approach it in a very arpeggiated kind of way, playing arpeggios. So, I mean, I've been kind of shading over this for like for quite a while now, like definitely for a lot of years. So there's definitely been a lot of trial and error over things, and then also transcribing. That's a really important thing to really get into, is just to understand how other people approach things as well. But I definitely like to, when landing on those major 7 chords, I definitely like to approach it definitely from the Lydian standpoint. So right, that kind of thing. I definitely like to, I really emphasize that sound on that because it's definitely pretty unique on that. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Sean, how you doing? Nice to see you on here. I was wondering if it might be a good time for you, but hey man, I understand things have been crazy and you haven't been playing for 3 months, man. So if I'm sorry to hear that, but if you can pick up your instrument even just for like 10 minutes or something, just to do just a little bit of something, even if it's like long tones, right? It doesn't have to be all the crazy lines. At least do something, on the instrument. So yeah, man. If anyone else is on here, got any questions, as you can see, you can throw it down here in the chat. Just doing a little mini live here since I'm kind of up. Maybe I'll be on here for maybe another 15 minutes. We'll see, because then it'll be 3 a.m. for me. Let's see. And appreciate it, low tones. Playing in the upper register of the octave down emulates the POG sound. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, it adds like a really cool fatness to it when you use the octave. Experience with the POG, the one that does, so doing the octave up. I've tried them out a few times. Wasn't really my thing, just because I couldn't, that's just not something that I necessarily hear for myself, but obviously there are a lot of cats who use it and they can make it sound great. And I think that's the beauty of like just equipment or anything that you find, is that there's always going to be something that inspires you, something that inspires you that might not necessarily inspire other people, and vice versa. That's just how it is. There's always something for everyone, which is really cool. And then so in terms of the pickup, just right now I have it on the bridge pickup. But I definitely I'll use all different pickup configurations for soloing. It just depends on what kind of sound that I'm trying to go for in a solo. I don't always just use the bridge pickup. And I encourage you not to just use only one pickup configuration. Try them all. So if I'm to use the front pickup, you definitely get kind of jazz guitar kind of sound, which is really cool. pickups on, gives you a conventional bass sound. I definitely associate that with like, someone like John Patitucci. Which is really cool. It's just a great sound, like having different sounds can inspire different things, inspire you to play differently as well, which I really like. I see the same thing with playing on different basses, playing with different effects. It can give you a different thing. And in terms of the back pickup, obviously, that's influence, especially for me, and definitely for a lot of other people. Definitely comes from Jaco, of course, and that's something that became very popular, obviously. But also, another person that comes to mind is Stanley Clarke as well. That's the really cool thing about it, is that, and it comes from just the different bass players who have influenced me and that I've like studied and listened to my whole life. There's a huge combination of influences that have helped me, discover, my own voice and my own sound on the bass. In terms of like how I like to approach it, I don't like to just approach it one way, because music and art is just so multi-dimensional, and I like to explore different areas of it, obviously, especially what the bass can do, like what I was showing you earlier with like stacking the chordal parts, and then for something like this with the different effects or using different pickups and all that to get different sounds. This is why the bass is just such a beautiful and amazing instrument, is because you can just get so many different kinds of things going, right? It doesn't have to just do this one thing, which I absolutely love, so yeah. And sure, no, I totally understand with the time difference, and that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of just popping up on here, just to see who's around, when usually I do my live streams. Obviously there's a whole bunch of people who can't make it and have to watch the replay, which is cool, but I understand that there might be some people who want to join in and ask questions and all that don't necessarily get to do that when I do this live. So that's why I'm just like, hey, let's just see what's going on here, if there's anyone. So I'm glad that you could jump in here. Hey man, I'm sending you all my best, man, that you feel better with your hands and foot numbness and all that, man. So just keep in touch, for real. And how do I approach soloing changes? It's the biggest challenge. Do you think every chord, especially a tune like Giant Steps, I always improv over changes, is way diatonic? Yeah, it depends on, obviously a tune like Giant Steps is not very diatonic. But it changes key centers, obviously. So that's the whole thing that you got to navigate. and it's a combination of like, yes, understanding how to play on chords, how to connect 2-5-1s, right? But also understanding how to shift when the key center changes as well, you know? That's the thing, you know? So it's a combination of like, you know, especially a tune like Giant Steps, which does take some time to just kind of work out and just understand. I mean, it took me a while to kind of just figure out how to navigate it. And I mean, I'm playing it at a pretty straightforward tempo, right? I'm not burning it, which, you know, I used to be able to, you know, it's been a while since I've done it, and I'm not going to demonstrate that right now. But like on upright bass, you know, if I'm playing like in a straight ahead jazz band, you know, we'll play it up a tempo, and, you know, we'll solo over the changes and all that. But it's more to like than just playing it fast, as being able to understand how the changes work. And these changes are really cool, and I really love you know, slowing it way down and just getting into the meat of it, to just understand how can it work. So even playing it slower than this, I even enjoy playing it as like a straight eights kind of ECM kind of thing, which can sound really nice too, and that can also help you kind of think a little more melodically when playing over this. I'll play another tune as an example of like something that has some complex changes, and there's a Bill Evans tune that I like to play. It's called Time Remembered. I'll play the chord changes, and you can hear how it just shifts. And you know, this is just the genius of Bill Evans. He definitely has this very you know, like romantic era or period of you know, influence, you know, for people like Ravel and Debussy. It's definitely very evident in, you know, some of his ballad writing, and this tune in particular, Time Remembered, is a great example of that. I'll play these changes, and then I'll try to navigate improvising over them as well. All right, so here we go. there's some challenging changes, just because, again, it's almost like its own type of giant steps, in a way, just the way that it moves, especially when it comes to the second section of the tune right here, where it's just all minor chords. So E flat minor, A minor, C minor, F sharp minor, B minor, G minor, yeah, then E flat major 7, right? So, and where it ends on C minor and then it starts on B minor. So really interesting concept, just an interesting tune. But I definitely recommend listening to this tune in itself. It's absolutely one of my favorite Bill Evans tunes. How do I remember all these chords? Well, I mean, it's because I've played this tune a lot. I've shed this tune quite a bit over the years, and I mean, this was one that was very challenging, just because of what it is. But I've spent quite a bit of time on this one. It's just like, you memorize something. So obviously, over time of shedding it, I've been able to memorize it and really pick it apart. And because the nature of these chords I just absolutely love, they sound great on the bass as well. So that's why it just lays naturally on the instrument. So and of course, yeah, a root movement, sure, because you only have like that to worry about. But I'll tell you, the chords, if you can understand with the chords how on any tune how they move and how they are affected against a root, it's such an amazing thing. I'll give you an example. If I was to just say, for example, we were just to play something that is a little more modal, if I was to just play like a bass groove in F, right? Let's see. Right? You can probably establish that it's gonna be maybe like an F minor, right? That's kind of the basis of the bass line that I'm playing. So you could assume that, like, okay, yeah, sure, the chords could be F minor 7, right? But what's really cool is that we've got that bass line going, but we could play some other chords over it. What if I was to play something like a G flat major 7 over that? Gives us the sound. Right? This is kind of interesting right there. That one there, it's a little more, is definitely diatonic, playing a A-flat major 7, which is derived off of the off of the minor third of F. Someone here is telling me to use a pick. If I could find my pick, where is it? Oh, it's not here. I don't know where my pick is. It's somewhere. It's probably in my washing machine, I bet you. Now, if I was to change the bass line to where it's just going to be just the root note and no other chord tones in there, then we have a little more freedom, right? Right? exactly checks the cereal bowl. That's the thing. This bowl, yes, definitely. And it's funny that you got like the same thing there, but this bowl has turned into just like kind of my on my desk bowl where I just put things, because we're not going to use this bowl anymore because it's got a chip and a chunk of it chipped out, so it's not necessarily safe for for us to be using to eat. So it just became a little utility bowl. So anyway, if I'm playing just a bass line right here where there's no chord tones going on in the bass line, just straight up just like that, then I can play all kinds of different triads over it. This is a very classic thing of, something that like Keith Jarrett or like Pat Metheny, Gary Burton would do. So obviously I've got an F right here. What if I was to put a, let's say, an E major triad? Get an interesting sound, right? What about an E flat major triad? Turns it into like a sus chord, right? How about let's do a B flat major triad, right? And just moving it up chromatically. So you start to get some really interesting sounds when you do something like that, when you just put different triads with different bass notes. That's a very classic thing. And that's the thing, yeah, things can sound really good with that. Diminished triads as well. How about augmented fifth triad? You get some really cool things. So that might be something to actually, have a go at. It's just, you can even do it in free time as well, where you can just have like a pedal of a root note. And you can even do this like on a piano or a guitar and just play some different triads over that. This is a really good way of like training your ear to hear like different types of sounds, to hear dissonance as well, and to hear resolutions, which is really cool. Right? So it's, but hey, Sean, just take it easy with your hands and all that. Definitely don't exacerbate, if you have numbness or anything. And just know, keep listening, to just music, watching it, and whatever you can do, just do whatever your body will allow you to do. All right. So, and I appreciate you jumping on here, man. I think I got a few more minutes before I should probably bounce and actually should probably go to bed. But before I go, I just want to let you, whoever's here, first of all, thanks for jumping on. and it was just cool to just see who's here. You know, I might do this again at some point randomly during the week, because you know I always want to connect with as many people as I can, you know, bass players around the world. And you know, I do get messages from people saying, oh man, I wish I could tune into your lives, but you know, they're at like 3 a.m. for me, and so I get it. So let me try getting up at like 2 a.m. or staying up and seeing who's around. So it's nice to connect with some people on here. I really appreciate you all. Thank you again. And if there's anything I can do to help with your bass playing journey, feel free to reach out to me, you know, through my website, basswithbenjamin.com, or you know, send me a DM on Instagram. Usually is the best place. But and I got all my links down below too, you know, for any of my bass resources. But also, in 2 weeks, I'm really excited about my bass chords workshop. So obviously, you know, I was talking about a bunch of chords and all that. I'm going to do a whole weekend of online bass workshop where we just look into bass chords. And you don't have to have a 6-string to do it. You can do it on your 4-string or whatever. All bassists are welcome as well. We're just going to have a lot of fun exploring bass chords. You know, you don't have to be a jazz player, you don't have to be a super advanced player. If you're interested in that, you know, it's the place to come and hang out with myself and a bunch of other bassists. I'm going to show you a lot of fun things. We're going to have a lot of fun together. Just get into bass chords. And that way you can go and show all your guitar playing friends and keyboard playing friends, hey, look what I can do. You know, so that's the whole thing. But also, just like I always like to encourage people to really just see and find the full potential that you can do on your instrument, right? And just add more things to your bass playing. Because obviously this instrument can do so many great things, it really can. And so if we can encourage more bassists to do that and not have to feel like that they need to just play the same old thing, how about feel inspired to try something new on your instrument, you know? Try something else, see what your instrument can do, and it'll definitely take you to a whole other level of playing and inspiration with your art. So yeah. So I appreciate y'all jumping on here. Thank you so much. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And when I do my usual live streams, they're usually on a Wednesday at 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. But let me know down here, you know, if this is something that's, you know, for people, you know, who are in these time zones that are awake. If this is something that works for you, and if you'd like to see this more of a regular thing around this time, I'll see what I can do. All right? Because I always like to make sure everyone is included. All right? My whole thing is about accessibility. I want people to have access to things. All right? So let me know if this is something that you'd like to see more of, and hey, I could make it work. Where I'm up in the middle of the night just to do this, because this has been a lot of fun. It's 3 a.m. and I'm like, how's this work? Okay. There we go. Who knows this song? And yeah, I'll play it as my outro music. Tune that a good friend of mine named Taylor Graves wrote. But this was made famous by Thundercat on his first record. Yeah, such a nice tune. All right, everyone. That's it for tonight. Thanks for jumping on here. And wherever you are, take care. Have a great day, great evening, great morning. And I'll catch you again. All right? Again, all the links are down in the description for everything that I have to offer. All right? Talk to you soon, everyone. Take care.